Good morning. Beautiful day. June 8th, 2022. June 8th, 2022. Today we can finally handle this issue here with brother the African Express, of course. It's been a long time coming. Conflicting schedules, we're not able for meet up the timing and everything. Comrade self not be no say me and the African Express with the American me and Chernor with the American but within a different time zones. But instead of lancing out today, America get a lot of time zones. So not like a London when I want get time zone when I get the I didn't know that small London day. But anyways, but we get the African Express with me now. Cash boxes with me and Comrade we can discuss a lot of things. Some of the things they will for discuss, but more so we want to focus on the elections coming up shortly, 2023, leading up to 2023. Most of the publications of the African Express, they like it today. If we get, this SLPP tied by their throats in a chokehold, thank God for the African Express, we make them possible. This felt like how they say everybody get their role when they play, but we know say the role where the African Express don't play in this particular time for protect our democracy. They like it today, the SLPP, if they are going around like bust balls, when the ball them, football, we not get air again. The ball no, you not get air. When you kick the ball, say not go fire again because you not pump fire. If they like today, the SLPP like that kind of ball that because of the African Express. Because these guys, the level of corruption we see so in these times, we've never seen anything like this since 1961. But family, before I even make lecture back and tell we Adunaya, let's just touch small on this land situation where they go on a constituency 110. With the area cry, we know say the Minister of Lands and they go there and go Rasuna and that constituency there. Let the opposition people and take advantage, hit to this, then and listen to them. People here and cry. Wanna stand up with the people, protect them. We know say the SLPP don't go beyond the preserve. They don't go behind the reservation area. Them. They don't go take all their land and then create their hand. We know say this is what they're doing. They went Marabio Komoti go cry like na mile 91, mile 13, like for say a worry about Guma Valley. Well, we know say not even care. This guy and all wrong cut all the tickets in the country. Don't sell almost $1 million where don't make per timber over $250 million. That was what we know in 2019, but 2020, 2021 to 2022 today, we don't know the amount yet, but we know say it's running up to the $600-700 million just on timber alone. But all of those things we can't talk about them. But we know say when they go through these problems, but they like today the opposition of the country will for stop this government in attack. They say they are just as weak as anything, and we would do the best for advocate and talk about these things, let people know. But we go talk about that more.
And Ibrahim, the land grabbing. I mean, just before we go to we topic now, the land grabbing. It goes back to the census thing. Like people are grabbing lands all over Freetown. People are fighting for lands all over Freetown, but yet still the population not reduced.
I'm telling you, my brother. But like you said more. There's more to talk about. We got to deal with the census while and all, and so we'll go touch on that side with African Express because of course we know how the statistics Sierra Leone with all the salaries, the salary increments, a lot of stuff. And we go touch on that, Andy. But Comrade, let me give you the distinguished pleasure there. So let you bring in brother Chernor Bah, the African Express. This is a long time coming. You don't tell what it's time for plan this, follow him for come and get this conversation. Let us come talk about these issues. Bring in Chernor Bah for me, Comrade.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. As you say, we all defend this fact here in different ways. But for now, get this fact to all get us today. For now, we all open pan corruption. Corruption don't the day. But if you know to God or to brother, the Chernor Bah, we then get the African Express for let them expose things that we be say. If you know them be expose them. We not probably ever know the type of thievery, type of corruption we alone deeper. What this government don't do. And we all know say, then the right. And the young platform for right to people them go now other platform them. But the greater majority of people that when are the people who they fed for. Now them boku na then no they will listen. So decide what as if they nothing, laka and can't talk to me people them. And the people that only try, this platform we talk as we name them say this is a victim advocacy network platform. That's why they can't talk for the people them. Instead look who all they don't they miss yourself, they say no today I they cut all my schedule. Can explain to people them the level of corruption for that way they need to read. We be say if you don't pull a nail, they can't explain them in different ways. Like from the tax rebuilding, the salary disparity, what lot to do from NEC, from the military, from the judges, and so many things. Them. So today now pleasure of flowing to this. Chernor Bah would all man they call the Africanistpress when the CEO. When I listen audio to the way play for me, the way to one international interview na America, I know how people they work relentlessly. For make sure we get salon, not to say that for anything, that for just that play life better. So Chernor Bah, today you did this platform. people don't when they wait for you for like come and explain to the people because they say the man we put the gondola, you put the gondola. You should be able to explain the level of corruption and how you're able to put this country to this point, and this are for future generation. So you're welcome at the platform.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ibrahim, Cashbox, and Comrade Koita. And I think we'll get people's power as well. These are the team.
We try, yes, people's power.
Yeah.
We'll join you.
So I just want to start off by congratulating all of you guys who have really tried. Me, one of the admirer as well. I listen to the audios, and the conversation has been very interesting. And when they talk about Africanistpress contribute this and that. I just want to say that we also want to take the opportunity to commend UNA, because standing up in a time like this against dictatorship and being committed to it consistently every morning when they release audios every day, collective audio and individual audios and messages. This is not too easy work. So I want to salute UNA dedication and commitment, and also appreciate the work UNA don't do, and thank UNA for this opportunity. And I want to apologize also for the fact that we don't schedule and reschedule and all of that. So I apologize to all of you for failing many times for coming here. But above that, I want to thank you very much for the work that we want to do individually and collectively as a group.
Absolutely.
This kind of work is needed. We need to encourage more people to copy this kind of style of working, not just as individuals, but as a collective group. Yeah. We're committed to the same goal. In the final analysis, the objective is to help the people of Sierra Leone understand exactly what are the issues, and most importantly also for help the world to understand the situation of the ordinary Sierra Leonean people. I think so. When I don't do that significantly, it's a challenging work. When I don't get all kinds of insult, abuse, stress and all that, but that is the price we have to pay. So thank you all for the work I don't do, and I appreciate it. And thank you for inviting me to this platform.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chernor. Chernor, let's get down to it, straight to it. Over the years, we're going to talk about the Chancellery building and all of that stuff, but this one thing I want to get out of the way. This one thing. Over the years, with the amount of work that you've put in, all the information that you've given out, I've never really seen the opposition taking advantage of this. Now you want get the pool, we come now, we try, we do we own. Chernor Bah, we never eat government money. Where is all of the opposition? Where are the former ministers? Where are the former executive? All of the opposition that country today. Nobody able to run with the information them and everything that you pulled out. This is one thing that has bothered me. We know, say yes, we have a dictatorship in line, but we are living in a democracy at the same time. So these people owe us a moral responsibility, Chernor Bah, to stand up to this government with everything that you said. Matter of fact, they make it seem like for say what you can do, not to better thing, na rumor, they're not sure if na factual thing you do. So it's like on the fence and on the edge. What do you say to that? Before we even go deep into anything, over all these years, what do you say to the opposition them? When you read them in passing, they will just mention no more. When I read the Africanistpress, what he say, but nobody really took this thing and ran with it consistently. Probe, go inside, investigate, dig, go fend them receipts them, fend the checkbook them. Talk to me about that. Just on that alone, before we even go deep into specific issues. Them talk to me on that.
Well, personally, as an individual, not too surprising thing to me, the responses of the political class as a group. Political class, in this case, I talk about politicians in power and politicians in the opposition, across the opposition, not just within APC, but also across the board. At this stage, we need to also define opposition. What do we mean by actual opposition? If looking at the current Sierra Leonean landscape, you could divide the opposition at least in three parts. You get within the APC, you get two major tendencies. You get a group where things say then get a shared interest in prolonging the current situation as alone because of their own individual pursuit of power. You don't understand this? Now, right. A group will get their own power ambitions, but then realize that perhaps with the current arrangement at the party, they're not going to realize that. So then go on for buy time, so that the current people always they serve as stumbling blocks to them, go be
eliminated.
they go expire. Yeah, they go expire with time. That now which we call the opposition within the opposition.
Right.
You don't understand? Then you get the opposition itself that is under siege. The opposition where they're under attack. This opposition under attack, these are politicians where the ruling party don't already identify as potential competitors. That these are politicians that will likely go compete with them in the upcoming elections. And if they want to compete with them, then get the possibility for defeat them in the next election. So these politicians now where the government don't use the state institutions from the Anti-Corruption Commission, the COI, all these inquiries and the court system for hold them under siege. So this is an opposition that is now barricaded. So you already know who some of these politicians are. Then the third group now a group within the opposition where they do business with the ruling party. At night they are in bed with the ruling party. During daytime then they act as opposition. So this kind of group, it always exists as alone. It always don't exist before now. Now group will be say they can be inside parliament or outside of parliament as leaders of opposition parties. So now if you find out in most cases their position on national issues are never clear. They're either there or they're under. You don't understand. So not any clearly defined political position on any national question.
Right.
Anytime they take clear position on national question, no say that position an issue that is raised in the interest of the state, either as a form of distraction or for deceive people and for pretend to people like they do something. So we therefore understand. So when we talk about opposition right now in Sierra Leone, I'm talking about the opposition that is under siege. The opposition that has suffered attack, the opposition group that has suffered attack, that is under blackmail, both from the slander and blackmail, and that's under siege from the ruling party, and also an attack that is assisted and supported by the media, civil society, the collective silence of the interest group in the country with this kind of situation. And interestingly, the other opposition, within the opposition, where there is a long-range agenda, then also happy, in most cases secretly or silently, then even appreciate the fact that the young opposition people there, they suffer this attack, unfair attack from the court system, through the use of the court system, through the use of the Anti-Corruption Commission, police and other kinds of state institutions against the incumbent opposition, because then they see that as a helpful thing, until they help their own individual selfish ambition. So when politicians not take on the issues, some of these opposition members will definitely not appreciate the work that we do, because the work we do, they only expose the government where they assist this other opposition within the opposition, but it also make it impossible for this other opposition faction where they wait for time to realize a new opportunity if situation change now. So for me, as an individual Sierra Leonean, we don't look at the politics of the country for the last 20 years as a journalist. I understand this situation. So when I see them, they play out in a different way, and now it just reinforces what I know about the country. But more than that, now I think it don't become an issue where we confront it, because a lot of people that are ordinary people and people that will not get nothing to do with government, where they suffer from the problems of these politicians and the deceit and dishonesty, don't decide to take the responsibility in their own hand now for decide for changing the situation of the country through conversation, through active engagement, through dialogue, through personal political education, which is what you guys have been doing. So basically, because they don't silent now, the media don't silent, the academics, the interest groups, the professional class. So ordinary people don't appoint their own spokespeople. People don't become now, communities don't produce their own spokespeople, their own representatives, or get their own voices and their own articulation. That are the thing we're different today, and we make it possible by the fact that now new technology, as soon as they make use of and so now in a beautiful way. In the morning, when I don't come together from different parts of the world, other people in Europe, other one in America, other one in Africa, come together, get a collective conversation, release that conversation, it go right across the four corners of Sierra Leone and every other part of the world in real time. So this now make the situation, now make now people they see the dishonesty of the politicians there and the political establishment in Sierra Leone.
Absolutely.
And these are the challenge because they all depend catch up now. They all fed for catch up because in the past, like we know them here, we know they will communicate them to the people and the people don't get access to them. And the difference that.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, Kashi, come on in.
No, Ibrahim, if you want, because I've just learned something which is powerful. This is the power of like this conglomeracy where you can talk about Ibrahim.
Yeah.
Like the and I know Chernor Bah, you answer the question like in an indirect way where Ibrahim asks you, say, what do you think? Because like all the opposition, all they do is just to say, oh, yeah, you're waiting the Africanistpress, like you're waiting the Africanistpress, say, without doing the right thing. For instance, like, when we talk about the timber money, it was you where kind of like bring a camp up, where in a way, first the Auditor General to include them inside the audit report. And then we talk about, and everything you've said, even though they try for downplay them, this government they try for downplay them, say like I say, oh no, this not just propaganda and all that anymore. Everything you've said, it did inside the audit report if people are focused on it. Like the timber thing, you said it, it's in the audit report, and that is one of the reasons where they get rid of liar tilopias, because when you first release it.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me? Sorry, somebody called me.
Yeah.
When you first release it, the Auditor General get no choice but to include them inside the audit report. It commanded to the first lady, because when he was first, when the timber team we first commanded, you notice said inside that audit report, the Auditor General tell we say get conclusive what he said about it, details about it. So she did not kind of like, it just tell we say, oh, this money lost, but like they tell the government tell and say they go deal into it because they use the wrong finance act. It was you that brought it up. So in a way, for this audit report will just come also away as a result. Now make them sack up. We were expecting this timber team to come inside there. So they not include them because the balance we tell, we say they don't get enough information. The government said they used the wrong finance act. So they should have brought it in this last audit report. And the first lady issue as well, you mentioned it, the beginning joke, but what's it happened? In page 434, the audit report, inside the audit report, the 2020 audit report or 2019 audit report, it was there. The point you make now about the three classes of opposition where we get, the one where AB say they kind of like, the opposition within the opposition, whether they pray for them prolong the whole thing with their issues they have, so they go kind of like get like this sheer interest where they get. And then you talk about the opposition under attack, which to me, this is the reason why we get people like Samura Kamara, because they are these are the people that where like the COI, the court system that they use, and other people right? But and then the other one we talk about, the one where they deceive and get like this false pretense about them, saying that because they're doing business with the government. And for me, I want to put the parliamentarians inside there. The reason why I'm saying this, it goes back to the question where Ibrahim asked, say, all they say, oh, you are waiting the Africanistpress, you are waiting, without acting. And they have the power to act upon this stage. Without putting words in your mouth, Chernor, what do you get for say with these people, with this class of people?
Yeah, you're completely right. The Finance Act was clear in terms of the scale of measurement we have applied in terms of computing levy on timber export. This that the Ministry of Finance that then developed that proposal, because the idea comes from the fact, say, then tell the IMF and the World Bank and the people of Sierra Leone, both in their manifesto and the program that they developed for what they call maximization of domestic revenue, for increased domestic revenue generation.
Absolutely.
That I think condition for making able get back to the international financial institution.
Exactly.
So basically, then propose to the world, say, then get for increased local taxation as a way of closing the ceiling so that people qualify for more debt.
Yeah.
So what they did now, in the case of timber, the company is owned by the president, run as a front by somebody who is his finance man during the time he was campaigning. So now the man can have power, even though that they don't go to parliament with this proposal. Parliament basically, because when you do a budgetary estimate, you have to explain how you intend to generate money for that year, how you intend to spend the money. Now based on that now, the parliament will vote and approve the Finance Act, when are the legal instrument will give you the opportunity or the right for generate the money where you say we want to generate. And that's what happened. So Parliament debated and approved the 2019 Finance Act. We include, say, therefore tax levy on, therefore impose levy on timber through the use of cubic meters. So which means they say $2,500 per cubic meter.
Exactly.
So when the audit calculate that, they find out, say, instead of paying by cubic meter, they decide to calculate by container. Which is and now even if we excuse the fact that they make a mistake, with they intend for saying a container instead of cubic meter. Even that violates the Weight and Measurement Act, where Parliament done pass in 2010. We change the scale of measurement at the country from imperial system of measurement to a metric system of measurement. That is why we do not sell petrol by gallon anymore. We sell it by liters. We do not measure by pound anymore. We measure by kilos, both for terms of road and in terms of weight. So why I go through this one? I'm telling you, for address this question of the dishonesty of Parliament.
Absolutely.
And the complicity of Parliament in assisting the executive branch of government from looting, from evading taxation. This is a clear example. So they were caught directly by this process. And why did not take that? What do you expect if a trading company fail for pay taxes? The Ministry of Finance and the National Revenue Authority suppose for arrest the person for tax evasion. So they cannot do that because the company that did that is a company owned by the president, run by his own front man, his own business front man, Babadi Kamara. So, but coming back, in the first place, it was even wrong for make leadway as a private company collect taxes on behalf of government when you have the National Revenue Authority.
Absolutely.
You know, appoint a private company or a private individual and give the sole right to collect taxation on behalf of government and pay that taxes there when you get the National Revenue Authority that is supposed to carry out. So in all stretch of the imagination, that was a complete violation of multiple laws passed by Parliament. So what did Parliament do? In debating the 2020 Finance Act, now, 2021 Finance Act, then decide then call the way you go look at the act first, then put say, then we make mistakes in na cubic meter, they change them, the draft, then change them to container. Later on, they realize they do container, they don't violate the Weight and Measurement Act. Then go sit on a corner, so then calculate how many cubic meter they inside container, and arrive at $2,500 for container for legitimate. So Parliament assist them for that. Parliament did not investigate the evasion of taxation. Parliament then helped them to correct the legal violation by giving them now the license to loot the country by legalizing the tax evasion, the undervaluation of export value. You don't understand? So then one deliberate effort. Now the other thing again, when the audit report of 2019, as you mentioned, highlight the fact, say, then try for audit. The audit service try for audit the office of the First Lady. They refuse to submit receipts, so which means the office refused to be audited. So we produce financial transactions of the office of the First Lady showing the illegal allocation of public funds to the wife of the president. Not only that, we also show the funds that were illegally allocated were also used.
Hold on 1 second, sir.
By the First Lady.
Tashi, if you can stop the yes, because when they reverberate back, I don't want to go get a negative like on the audio itself. Yes,
you don't understand.
Yes, right.
The use of the money not comply with the laws. So what did Parliament do? The leadership of Parliament, both from the APC and the SLPP, write a letter to the Ministry of Finance and the bank governor asking them for explanation regarding this money that's not true. We don't ever hear Parliament talk about them anymore after that. So what you will expect when parliamentary leaders write letter to the Minister of Finance, the Minister to the Bank Governor, then get the power for subpoena them for me then kind of Parliament and explain whether this, if the Parliament not be no. So what Parliament, but what in that letter they tell we? Parliamentarians were basically saying they were not aware that money of such nature was being given to the wife of the president. And no institution or nobody not get right for allocate public funds without parliamentary approval, without the authorization of Parliament. When the Minister of Finance use money beyond the approved budget, they take a supplementary budget to Parliament for approval, either ask for more money or for validate the money that they've already used. When you look the budgetary estimates for the appropriation bill, whether I submit from Wade and Ghana Power to now, there is no such thing as money given to the wife of the president. They only started talking about it when we come out and show the evidence, which they cannot deny. So Parliament has not taken any action. Parliament pretend to take action by pretending that they're writing a letter. The letter was signed by the NGC leadership and the APC leadership in Parliament. They not ever come to the people of Sierra Leone and tell we say, we don't invite the people that are not agree for Camo. But then by the following budget hearing, these parliamentarians sat down with the Minister of Finance in Parliament, read the budgetary proposal, and approved the budgetary approval without asking them to explain how these monies that were not approved by Parliament were used in the first place. It is democracy, which is Parliament really useful. The first way Parliament they do, now for ask them say before we talk about the budgetary proposal for next year, the budgetary estimate for next year, we're not going to tell you first how to use the previous budgetary allocation, including the fact that we don't find out and don't use money, we will not authorize, we will not be savvy about. But they never did that. They never did that. So you will hear these parliamentarians talk about the fact that they don't get power in the Parliament, they cannot speak, the parliamentary leadership has been hijacked, there's an imposed speaker, 10 members of Parliament were removed from Parliament, police were taken to Parliament, they were beaten in Parliament. But they also, when it comes to budget hearings, when it comes to the approval and budget debates for the approval of the budgetary estimate for the following year, all of Parliament will be united around that issue.
Right.
They will have no differences. They will have no problems. We will hear no conversation around they have decided to boycott Parliament or boycott the proceedings because the Ministry of Finance has not been able to explain how money is allocated to them were used. So we get, this is an example for sure you say we have to fix the country in all aspects, both in terms of the disciplinary conduct of opposition politicians in Parliament and what is now appearing or coming out as their willing collaboration, whether directly or indirectly, consciously or subconsciously, for condone and assist in the operation of this kind of mismanagement of state resources and the wrong operation of governance.
Absolutely. Ibrahim and Chernor, Ibrahim, before you come inside,
right?
You know, Ibrahim, Chernor, you mentioned something about the discipline, and it goes back to like the Finance Act where you talk about, you know, how reckless it is for make like a Finance Act produced by, let's say, the Finance Ministry, went through the Finance Ministry, went through the Cabinet, went through like the Parliament, and they did not notice the Finance Act was wrong. This was deliberate. You know, like now when you talk about discipline, it kind of like goes back to that point that you cannot see all these things. It went through all these phases, yet still nobody picked it up, say the Finance Act was wrong, only for make like we can't notice thievery that it's until we say the Finance Act was wrong.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Thank you. Great points. Comrade, let me Comrade, let me bring you in. Let's go to this Chansley building. But go ahead and come in from your angle. Come in.
Yeah, thank you. You know, you see when we brought a talk, as it make you understand the three type of opposition we get, but the most important one is the opposition under attack. And one part of the opposition under attack, we mean the fact should be brought me and we all there this place we talk and time and again say now the Africanistpress, the auditor general them they follow in because they know say if they do anything we not expose automatically problem they come. Then they lost credibility, they don't lost credibility. Then follow everybody's this chance to build that Ibrahim now the Africanistpress in release that in the whistleblower we make government say they investigate. And inside the investigation, what in them pull when I investigate them as the investigative journalists, He pulled the reports. He showed when they transferred the money from how the money was taken back 2 years ago. Now we see a single person, the former foreign minister, who not left the ministry before 2018. They don't turn flag bearer. Then from where they start this investigation, now just one great person, then they investigate. I want like Chernor Bah of the Africanistpress tell me, waiting at the cause, and we will talk. I don't want to go back to parliament because if we don't go to parliament, we will talk time and again. Me focus here as Dr. Samura, waiting make this government here passing Samura through the ACC and the court. Way Ali Kaba. When I am the foreign minister, I come to the Africanistpress release with all of the things I say. Now in time, now the money come and in time the money put in a private account. Now because of Africanistpress, let elaborate and explain to the people of Sierra Leone so that we will get a better understanding when in addition for this particular investigation. Now we know can the one part the opposition say opposition under attack and Samura Kamara one person under the attack and under the siege of the SLP through this chance to build there.
Yes, I think that the most important development that since we people need for educate the Sierra Leonean public and international community on right now, especially as we approach elections, because the chance rebuilding corruption scandal, the government decided to weaponize them and use them against their own most feared opponent, which is very unfortunate. Because as you mentioned, the development and the chance rebuilding, nothing way beyond they cause embarrassment to the Madabio administration, because the complaints from the neighbors Naya were near the building, where they're not able to fix the building, where they dismantle and begin to do the construction in 2019, where they're not complete, then transform when they not do unsafe. The people that they complain. They don't complain to the New York Department of Buildings, the New York State government, to the extent that now the president, in fact, the reason this will make the president decide to move the former ambassador to the UN, Ali Kaba, and some of the other people out of New York, because it be one for sure the American government say in the act, because this may not become an embarrassment. They were being basically questioned by the state of New York and by extension the State Department regarding the situation and the embarrassing situation, the menacing situation regarding the status of the building. Because 21 neighbors, we don't file complaint with the New York state government and the New York Department of Buildings regarding how the building endanger their lives, cockroach there, all kinds of things they did, because from when they stay in the build, they just make it to the left. But what is the actual thing? In investigation, we show say the money when they talk about that China been give Salon that money there for renovate the building, and the renovation include the construction of 2 additional floors, then for add 2 floors. The negotiation for this been done, the negotiation where the previous government initiated. In fact, the money started coming into the account before 2 months or a month before the election of 2018. The SLPP government of Madabio, when they came in, they met 2 transactions have already been lodged into the account from the Chinese government. One of the accounts was paid directly from the Chinese embassy in Freetown, and the other one straight from Beijing. Okay, we show that one, they would not show these transactions. The previous government left this money inside the account. We showed that the evidence did it. Where the wire come, in fact, from between June to September 2018, the money we remitted at the account, they don't empty all. Okay, we don't show that one day. Then in 2019, they withdraw money from the CRF, from the central bank, into the foreign affairs account, and send on to New York in the name of the garden of the building. Basically, the money with the Chinese and give them chop and force 2018, where they just enter. Then take all that money back, add that on top of that one day, and send it to New York. Then send that money to New York between February 2019 to September 2019. That money they not use by the building. In total, what we talk about over $4.6 million. This the money we then transfer each and Freetown and transfer to New York and Chopper. We don't know this are 2018 we might have been under this administration. And at the time, Ali Kaba was Minister of Foreign Affairs, later as ambassador in New York. So basically, they chop the money first in New York, then they transfer, and then chop the money in Africa with the meet as the first time then they transfer in New York. He also transfer all the money so they can make the building, then chop that money there. So basically, there is no way that $4.6 million was stolen by diplomatic officials without the knowledge of the president. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Where'd it get you?
Who's my uncle and so uncle, so you don't cut off.
It's okay. I get to now. Yes, I get to now.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Go ahead, Africa. Go ahead, Chernor. They get you.
Yeah, Chernor, carry on.
Yeah. So there is no way. There is no way the ambassadors and the ministers and the Foreign Affairs Ministry go misuse or divert that money the way the president knows have been. The dynamic when the embarrassment started in New York and America, the president decided for do the cabinet changes. He changed both the foreign minister at the time and changed the ambassador Ali Kaba and most of the people that were involved with this and send them to a different pretending they do cabinet reshuffle. So that cabinet reshuffle wouldn't be announced before we published the story was because of the pressure and the disgrace where this kingdom begin to cause. So now we have to cover the story. So when we can publish the story now, then no one for admit saying that they don't take the money, then decide then they hang this case on members of the previous government. You know, that's what they do. All the publications we don't publish. We publish about the First Lady, what in the anti-corruption saying, they go 15 years backwards. Now, when we publish about the Foreign Affairs Ministry and this chance rebuilding over $4.6 million with an thief between 2018 and 2019, they say they go hold Samura Kamara when the former foreign minister. Now, when we publish about David Francis in young corruption, because they not get nobody when have been chief minister before then, they not able to that. They just set them on. They not talk about that one day. They never talk about that. They pretend saying a story will never happen. So these are dishonesty. But what make this dishonesty persist? Now, because they are members of the opposition, members of the APC, where they can compete for leadership, where already they in bed with the ruling party, with the SLPP, and then they see this as an opportunity for get Samura Kamara out of their own competition, leadership competition at their party. So this is why, for the most part, many of them have not sincerely or genuinely stood up against the SLPP over this blatant lie and accusation. This is not to say Samura Kamara and these APC politicians, they do not have their own stories. You don't. So what I'm talking about in this particular instance, the story and the evidence that we have published is evidence that deals with money stolen by Madabio's government, officials of Madabio, the ministers and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the embassy in New York, and then not take this, and I insist, they cannot steal that money without the knowledge of the president. This is why the president not touch them. He decided to make them witness. The people who were responsible for the mismanagement of the money, will divert this money, and they now become witnesses against a politician who was a foreign minister and who has been out of office 2 years before this money then tifa. So basically, they go hold somebody for thief where don't happen 2 years. Where you didn't at this house here, you don't commodity, you have been tenant at this house, you don't commodity, you don't go rent other house. Now 2 years later, the thief at that house then go hold you say, oh, if you not there at this house, so they hold you for that thief will be not happen. When you say you don't even know about that house there again. That's the kind of scenario.
Absolutely.
And this kind of situation, this kind of this lie, injustice, and blatant abuse of power has happened and has gone on because members of the opposition will know say this is a lie.
Yeah.
In fact, some of them even advise.
Yeah.
Some of them even offer advice. With the story come out, they offer advice to the government.
Wow.
On how for take this case here, hang up on their own opposition colleague because them think say this will give them an advantage in their own internal party competition. And this is why you even hear this debate casually. Some of them even talking, this time we will not need somebody to get case to the court for answer.
Thank you.
Basically, if this embassy issue was an issue, the SLPP for don't use that in the Commission of Inquiry.
Absolutely.
They don't use that in the forensic audit we then do.
Yeah.
There was a forensic audit carried out by the audit service. None, they don't mention this one. There was a Commission of Inquiry. All the hearings which took place in all the three commissions. They accused Samura Kamara and the APC politician of all kinds of things. But this story never came up. the first time this issue became a public discussion and the money in question became a public discussion when the Africanistpress publisher. And what did we publish? It got to do with money stolen by officials of the Madabio regime in the Foreign Affairs Ministry and in their Chancery building in New York. We don't publish about 4 articles on this. But the sad thing is that while they argue and they lie about this story in Africa, the risk here is that this country, the embassy, if you're not they go for broke that building date because the building now don't turn to a hazard for the entire community. Because it's the only solution where the New York government, the New York state government, they can think about.
Right.
So that embarrassment. Now for the worry about that this lie when they lie in Africa for use this one as part of the political game in Africa. It's such a sad and unfortunate situation.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know, Chernor, there's something you say, Sunaya, and I want to break this down to the people and let them understand where we're coming from. And it's good we come recruit to ask you this question about this Chancery building with Dr. Samura Kamara in name and how in effect the goal for eliminates this man out of the race. They no say he is the most popular candidate, is the man of the people at this particular point in time. If any elections is run in Sierra Leone, if him become a flag bearer of any political party, that party is going to win that election. They know that, Andy. You know, when you look at the case of the Alfred Peter Conteh, you see how this guy went on AYV. It make him categorically clear for say the goal where we go with this case na court. Now for make sure say na 2 things, 0 or 1. 0 now for make sure say the party they go resign. But if they not resign, the number 1 now that the Judge Fisher or any other judge will be forget that case, they go pass a ruling. This was Alfred Peter Conteh saying, and this they go to everything that you're saying. They go pass a ruling for say then why they're not legitimate. They go pull them come out and go form an interim committee. We go take them into convention. Exactly what the guy tell we almost about a year ago. That's what happened last 2 months ago. So this is the thing you're saying about this opposition within the opposition, where their goal and their motive is to lay in bed with the SLPP. And, you know, I pull out the video and they, Chernor Bah, you know, my brother, when we talk about civic education, this goes to the education where they talk about, you know, believe, say, people and within the APC, of course, then get them motive, motive them. A lot of them, they misguide people. A lot of these political leaders within the political party, then they misguide the people and waiting to, because for achieve that objective there for say, but anybody will get case, like how you talk about just no anybody will get case, no they can. And the same Alfred Peter Conteh guy, it talk the second half, the second goal where they get, now for make sure say then get rid of people like anybody will get case. Ura get case, now Dr. Samura Kamara. Ura put case param. Fictitious case, fake case when I exist. When we bring this thing out, people like, hey boy, Ibrahim, not for pull that old video. Can you imagine, Chernor Bah? This is what is happening in our country, and this goes to everything you say. It is solidified into how we tell people, and because you see, a lot of these people, like you always want for just hearing the good things. They don't want for hearing the challenging things about what is actually cooking underneath where you expose so like today. So thank you for this exposure.
But Ibrahim, when you say good things, I mean information. Like whether it is kind of like good or bad, it's a good thing in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that particular thing the way they talk so sometimes disgust me. For many people, and they say, "Oh, why you go put all video?" What are you talking about? This is something we clearly see. Say this is like a way for make them kind of like dead somebody. And Ibrahim, before you come back in, now the fact that when people they talk about the money issue, say owner money, you know, like we don't need Pullman. You know what? You guys should get Elon Musk to be your president. You should get Bill Gates to be your president. You should get like Bezos to be your president, because it's all about riches these days. You know, when people they talk about, you can clearly see it is about Samura Kamara, this thing. But anyway, land, because I want to ask Chernor Bah about the charge where they levy against Samura Kamara. Please.
Actually, go ahead, Kashi. Go ahead with that.
Thank you. You see, Chernor, because if I remember rightly, Ibrahim and comrade, according to this Chancery building thing will happen, they tell we say one of the charge, please correct me if I'm wrong, they say it deceived in principle. How Samura Kamara they deceive in principle? They say he award contract to somebody where an individual, not to a company and all that thing. But these monies were disbursed after Samura Kamara left office, after the election. So how he award contract
for make them make this chance rebuilding, like to the extent that they say it deceived in principle. How does that work? Please, I mean, make our understanding to bring.
In the first place, for begin, look at the charges themselves now. For a waste of time. Right. In any serious country, serious democracy, I mean, where laws are respected. If you get a serious government, in any situation where government is serious, right, where institutions are respected, the independence of institutions, we get an independent court system. That particular case that they're talking about regarding this particular transfer of funds will not even be entertained after the first appearance. Absolutely. Like right now, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the ACC, and the people that will make up these charges, they will be sued for pay damages, because the fact of the matter, whether we talk about money that was transferred and misused, diverted, the time between 2018, where this government don't kind of power, to 2019. Mm-hmm. Up to now in their court discussion, they not ever mention the $4.6 million. Make we even say if APC now they start this building way back in 2015, 2016. But what we are talking about, money was taken by the government of Sierra Leone, from Sierra Leone, and sent to New York, over $4.6 million in the name of constructing an embassy. Up to now, nothing was done. Even the contractors, the way they hire, where this government hire, right, the contractor then say they lift one stone or one block from the building again for not pay them. You know what they try to do right now? The government, they plan for take more money again and send it to New York now, because they're not the condition. In fact, the lawyer we hire, the lawyer, and I talk in court say in the last hearing say, and this day again in the email and document, we have the documents. We get for publish this because they are too much. But the lawyer say that they try for ask Freetown, because the procurement agency, they try to get emergency clearance, so they go able to transfer money in New York for pay the contractor, and so they go able to continue the building, because the neighbors then they can complain about the danger that this building don't cause to them, your own livelihood and their own environment. So now that was the last thing that these are the lawyer hired, the attorney hired by the Sierra Leone mission in New York. And then go say, so whether or lie they talk or not, but the fact of the matter now that government is now again thinking of sending more money to New York in the name of constructing that building. But they have not even explained to the people of Sierra Leone what happened to the over $4.6 million we then take from 2018 to 2019. Even if Samura Kamara had issues with money regarding the embassy building, the government not tell me what it then do with the money we then take $4.6 million, because that money not go inside the building. Right. The money was not paid. Remember, say when this discussion happened and talk to them, you don't pay the contractor. All the work don't go 90%. They say according to somebody later on they change, say nothing not happen. Right. So in their own mouth, they don't tell 4 different stories. They publish even a newspaper talk say $2 million and then be transfer. They say $1 million under APC time, $1 million under SLPP time. SLPP don't account for the $1 million. The $1 million under APC time, Samura Kamara in time they don't account for that. Later on they say $2,500,000 Samura Kamara. So basically, why make them say so? Because now they cannot explain who don't show the detail of all the money. So they want to find the amount exactly. This is how they came up with this fake story and this fake case. But the fact of the matter is, it is understandable, because in the last election, the difference in both rounds of the contest between Madabio and Samura Kamara was, on both occasions, less than 2% of the population. This was at a time when the APC was massively unpopular, when we all have been the right and publish stories about bad governance and corruption in the past. Okay, right. This was a time when majority of Salon people, from Ebola time to the Hajj situation, up to then and everybody, the mudslide, everybody was fed up because of the propaganda of the same SLPP. Madabio was unable to win against Samura Kamara less than even up to 2%. So now, from 2018 to now, that small sympathy and small support will increase that less than 2% we might be supposedly when if we take the election they say they're credible. That has been squandered. Yeah. Today you put ballot box between Madabio and any politician that's alone in a genuine contest. in a genuine competition, free and fair election, he's going to be beaten landslide. Okay, and one of the politicians we don't show threat to them. This the people they never understand is whether they like it or not, whether the people in the opposition like to hear it, whether the government like to hear it or not. The fact of the matter is, you put a ballot box in any free and fair election, Madabio knows he's not going to win. So this is why he has decided to extend his plan to include members of the opposition, members of the civil society across the board, as part of a rigging plan. Because this is the importance. Let me just finish this at one point. These are the importance of the case. This is why this court case is necessary. This is why this court case has dragged on, because the court cases have two purposes. One, it helps for discourage the ordinary people in Sierra Leone. In the case of the APC supporters, they help for discourage them from thinking that if they are in support of Samura Kamara, it creates a sense of uncertainty. They don't know what will happen. So that sense of uncertainty is being exploited both by the government and the opposition opponents of this particular candidate in the competition. So basically, it's a situation where the president is trying to have somebody that he thinks he will be able to use to rig the election as a candidate of his own choice. Leaders, they do all over. Dictators, they don't do it in Latin America, they don't do it in other parts of Africa, where the incumbent decides to choose for himself leaders that he will contest with. And they do so with the use of the police, with the use of other state institutions. In our own case in Sierra Leone, the ACC and the judiciary don't become willing tools, that the weapons and the way Madabio they use. And Alfred Peter Conteh he used them to take parliamentary majority. Now he is also using them to take over leadership of the opposition parties. This is a fact, whether they want to hear it or not. This is the whole thing. So you don't need to talk about the merit of the case or the charges. Talk about the impossibility of justice, the impossibility of having independent institutions functioning in Sierra Leone, and the fact that the greater sector of the opposition has allowed this situation to happen. This is the danger and the disservice and the injustice that has permeated the country.
You know, Africanistpress, this is Chernor, this is a very great point. So, Salon people, I want to be rest assured, no say, Dr. Samura Kamara no get case. There is no case to answer now. Waiting a guy to do so no more for just discourage you now, like how the Africanistpress don't talk, and everything will only come and tell you, say, Lord be mindful no more, Lord be watchful. Right.
Make I just qualify this, Ibrahim. What I'm saying is the chance rebuilding case that they brought against him is what I'm talking about.
Right.
This particular case that they took to court based on the New York Embassy building that the Africanistpress published, the details and the evidence has nothing to do with the charges against Samura Kamara. That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, and that's the point right there, Chernor. That's the point right there.
And
because
Ibrahim,
go ahead.
I'm not saying we won't come to the election side. We say Chernor don't kind of like explain it. Like I think you don't give it like an introduction. But just before we go to that, even with the Chancery building, we had Samura Kamara, the tell we, and other people in the tell we. Sorry, did you get me right?
Got you. Yes.
Yes, we've had where the tell we say Dr. Samura Kamara kind of like kind of like applied to the Chinese government for when they renovate the Chancery building. So surely, if the money then begin come, 2 months, like what Chernor Bah just don't say 2 months prior to the election, and the monies were there in the account, and after the election, that tells us the building was dilapidated, and then surely Samura Kamara, if they don't get money for the funding, and if they don't begin the renovation work, if Samura Kamara be involved in any of the renovation work, there is no way it could have been applying again for more money to Chinese government for maybe they can help for build the Chancery building. So again, just like the point, this guy has no case with these charges whether they levy against him.
Yep.
Over to you, Ryan.
Thank you. And good point, Cashbox. Chernor, let us come on in. I know you have a question.
Yeah, the question I've been getting for brother, I see this BM party consistently the Soviet salary disparity between Minister of Finance, which until one person will pay up to nearly how many teachers, you see salary disparity between the NEC driver to the military, how much few 9 people they pay, over 1,700 soldiers, including lieutenant colonels. You know, they will see we can show the salary disparity. When at the worst, what I see for me as been at the army for over 25 years, 28 years to be specific. I see we show the salary disparity between the brigadier general to the rest of mankind. Me, they never see that different publication before I do the analysis. I cried and I don't see who says alone the head for, because being a member of the former military man, member of society, I don't see who said revolution and they success consistently. I don't see two revolutions we are almost participating also. The MPRC and the AFRC. I know what was the reason. We show the difference between brigadier to colonel, then colonel taken down. Then I wonder who says alone to go. I want to let you brother tell me what's in the how you manage get the information and then what's in. If you say that the danger behind government for let just come and look at just the head of starting institution there, because you want to capture them, they increase salary, how you manage get that statistics, that data, how you manage get them for exposure to the rest of mankind, because this will be a secret.
Well, comrade, I know we'll say how you get them, and I will disclose the source, but I know where you're going.
Yes.
I know where you're going, and I know say how Chernor himself understand exactly what you
exactly.
mean. But yes. But go ahead.
Not to let tell me in source, not to let tell me in source, because the source is different. No, tell me.
Right.
But let just because what motivate them, because before this time, one say Chernor Bah just the fast in this and that. So how he manage get the motivation now for let them know say he's been honest with advice for come to the security sector.
Absolutely.
So if for the salary disparity with them between the student from NEC to this man that state out of the presidential
Gotcha.
this Keke Thomas and the
all of these people,
Thomas
right.
yes,
The presidential spokesman.
Yeah.
Not to the spokesman.
Press secretary. Yeah.
Press secretary.
The press secretary to the financial secretary and the deputy. How you manage collate that thing? They expose this thing because Ibrahim. If you look at the common man, the soldier, the private soldier, they will let that less than 800,000. You look at the teachers and they strike for salary increment. They will see the huge salary disparity. What they know the motivation. How you don't go now from the politician and now you don't come to the common people level, whether the military, the police, the teachers, the NEC. Now here I want to ask them because that is that you don't make news when they see the right up proceed people and they make audios, they show, you know, they just tell me what's in there motivation for change from politics for counter to the security sector.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the question of salary is a very important thing, because when you talk about salaries, it affects everybody in the country, because every household must get somebody, one or two person, an extended family member where they work for government, either as a teacher, as a nurse, as a doctor, or soldier man, or policeman, or prison officer, like that.
Right.
So the question of salary is now a national question. And for tell you how significant this thing be, even the SLPP, then put another manifesto, say one of the main problems of the country now the lack of equality in pay, in the pay scale, that somebody go there as director, grade 10, now this ministry, they go down for 15 years, then the other person, they are as director, when I delayed and taker in a grade 7, the grade 7 person, they get 10 times the salary of this other person. So Mother Bio, then we talk, say, we then can then go change that in there, and go make sure, say, harmonization happen, that everybody will receive the same pay according to their grade, according to their qualification, according to their experience. Okay? So if you're a grade 8 official, you work in a state house, if your salary is 10 million, this one way they work in a Minister of Finance, in salary for be 10 million, at airport, if in a classroom, if you're a nurse. So regardless of who say you there, right, you're a teacher or nurse, so as long as you're a grade, a particular grade, you all forget the same salary. Right. And a very good thing in the country, because for the public sector workers, it encourages people to remain dedicated to their work. Absolutely. For example, you see somebody today, all the people that get PhD at the universities today, we take the university no more. All the people that with PhD at the universities, they don't agree for daily. Why? Because when they're at university, their salary is small. The salary of the cook right now, when they call nutritionist of the president, and not a real nutritionist too. This is not somebody maybe they will do half of errand there for the president. Right. We be that opposition leader. We come as president, not get no job for getting, so I make a nutritionist. In salary, they pay 2 times the salary of a senior lecturer. Right. You don't understand? Maybe senior lecturer, you go down almost get PhD. Right. So you find out say anybody with PhD, you go on for candidate state house for make it be
consultant for make it be, because they will get good salary, they get allowance, they get housing allowance, they get transportation, they get per diem, they get free fare. But when you be lecturer, even money, even better classroom for teach, you student don't get classroom. Now you go to Fobe College, they sit down at do na amphitheater, na ground. Lecturer snap they teach them. Which part of the world you go see that kind of nonsense there?
No.
So this and so this is why you find out that 85% to 90% of the people who they teach now the colleges then today, then they don't get PhD, they don't in the real world, the real place, they don't get no business for them at university as lecturers or academics because they don't qualify.
No.
They don't get the required qualification to become teacher. The PhD now for make it turn you into university teacher. But the reason why they do that, they know the PhD is very good. They can't state house for make them become political appointees and because of the salary.
Absolutely.
So the moment to solve this salary issue, we make sure say harmonization take place. We make sure the people and they get paid according to their qualification, according to the degrees where they get, according to their grade.
Right.
With a reduce a situation, we say, me don't talk. Nobody will get PhD. He can't work for Mother BO or any president who not sabi read.
No.
You don't understand, eh? Right. The only reason which make you go get somebody with a PhD, an academic can't sit down. They say yes, sir. To a president who be going to write speech for her, he go to parliament and never read that because we not get no side. The salary no more they cost that. We not they become a lawyer to the man because of the salary.
Right.
So now this make the Africanistpress decide say this salary issue now one of the main problems in the country they make people in the turn sycophant.
Yeah.
Now the main reason why they make people they become disloyal to the country, then they serve only party, then they serve only politician then we appoint them because we somebody appoint you. You say, hey, I don't get good job. Then they pay me well.
Right.
So you go do any kind of thing for make that job they not make that party they like the government they do bad stuff. You don't go worry because you don't. So for one way for end that thing then for make sure say people go able to get paid decently, then live decently, get decent wage. Regardless, they don't need for support politician for do that. They don't need for support bad for do that one day. So if you're not a teacher, you're not grade 10. If you say grade 10 political appointee, they get 21 million. If you say they get 21 million, nobody will left the classroom for go answer yes or to politician like that.
No way.
So the politician they know this. So that make it say the politician them back, then they only increase the salary of people the way they help them for rogue election.
Right on.
Now this make them they increase salary for judge them. Like now, the judge them where they see so now they all the CEO publish and salary the rent allowance alone. You see how it be. That kind of judge the way we appoint her as judge in the High Court or Supreme Court, you can go case to her. What you go do?
Hey, bro.
Political case, like this political case then now, where you can go Samura Kamara, the other people and say that corruption, this and that, what they go do? Then go judge the case according to, if you be saying a real thing, they will keep Kamara in a court right now, na prison, even when they say don't get him bail.
No.
Because the judge, they know they act otherwise, because when they act otherwise, they sack them.
Yes.
When they sack them, they not only lost job, then they lost salary, then they lost allowance, then they lost petrol, then they lost all this privilege. So, now this make you see say when they add salary for neck people and now when they do election they say hey, if we can take this government and come on power we don't lose this we
the salary
100 million you know that this is the thing so extending it to the army again and other people and for sure now say what make they show them here say the government not committed to solving the problems of ordinary people.
No,
because if they committed for solve the ordinary people and they care about ordinary people, they no go get problem for pay teacher them well. We qualify past the people that when they pay this boku money.
Right. They
no go tire for pay soldier man they well. We they provide the security for them. There's small people that we not sabi nothing in government just because then they able cost for president, they able insult, they able threaten people, they able kongosa.
Right.
That means they give them this suit and I wouldn't have the best violent person. We're loyal to the president as anybody, and they're going to possibly qualify you.
Right.
So these are the essence for show these salary disparities, for point out these problems. The main reason not for make somebody revolt or cause problem. Now for say if we allow that kind of problem yeah, for exist,
now with society,
the injustice go boku.
Yeah.
We go. These are the reason we make violence boku now we party them because even them political party we see people and then one great party then divide into 10 factions and they fight each other. Now because everybody wants a young political party leader for be
the leader,
for be the boss, for be the president. Because we be the president, either appointing a one agency, ministry or department, so you go to get big salary, big privilege. So all this question of fight where this is so, both within parties and across parties, this ethnic warfare we don't happen in the country.
Right.
This ethnicity in politics, we young people are no more than for this. So we people in the fight, then they defend lie.
Yeah.
Then they see true, they turn into lie.
Right.
See lie, support them like not true.
now because not to say that the party then committed, not to say that the leaders and the like, because you find out right now the people where they cause an escrow, I mean they cause with radio.
Yes.
Where APC been doing a power.
Exactly.
They cause for APC.
Oh yes. Yes.
Now then they cost them people and they so today I guarantee you say today them same people where they cost we so today for Madabio. In fact, most of them they cost Madabio today.
Right.
You know they be president.
Yes.
The Alpha side do there. The examples are many. You don't understand.
Right.
That the same people that now they cost we today where they talk the corruption they happen. Today this government come on a power. Other government come, they appoint them, they cost we back.
Yeah.
Because even the same Madabio back, saying a reckless person.
Right.
That if man that this, which is true. So these people are not really committed to country, they are not committed to party, they are not committed to political leaders, they are not committed to any values.
Oh my God.
Other than salary and the benefit when they get. So what thing we need for one way for solve the national problem and for solve the salary structure in the country.
Yeah.
Pay teachers well, pay soldiers well, pay doctors well, pay nurses well. Once you begin to pay these people the same salary that you're paying your political appointees, I tell you,
the politics is steady.
Nobody, the politics will clean. As people with ideas in terms of how to solve welfare issues,
right?
Issues debate, now issues go override loyalty in the country. Now then go define politics.
Yes.
But because we get politicians without ideas, politicians without capacity, politicians who are incompetent, they know they allow this kind of situation to happen. The need for fixed salaries for certain people, make other people and get less salary. The need for make sure other people and live well. At the top where they support them, the other people who don't support them, then are nothing. This is why the question of wages and compensation and what's look now right now, what's in the debate, say that for add salary for parliamentarians.
Right.
Then not too long ago, they talked that they give parliamentarians a free land. And they give Soja Man a free land. Promise. Now they don't go to the point now, they say they for pay this. So parliamentarian, then what if you say then go they do? They go fight no more say more within a parliament.
Yes.
Because they have shared interest for a long time now. Throughout this 60 years, we made problem that the alliance with these politicians, the political elite at the top, don't regardless of which party then they, for the most part, don't decide for gay. Then they always find somebody we want to shake them off among the group, they ostracize them. That is the difference. The difference is who is in power and who is not in power.
Yep.
Chernor, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, go.
No, we just want
much, but to answer Comrade Queta, your question, now this make we decide for highlight example of salaries of finance ministry. For sure, say look, 30 people in the Minister of Finance, you see together were all political favored appointees. Then we also show that NEC, the reason why make the increase NEC the salary, now because NEC therefore be instrumental in defining the longevity why the government get for dinner power.
Yep.
The reason why they add privileges and more salaries for judges because they need the judges and the judiciary for serve as a political weapon against the opposition, as we see now what they happen. There is no justice, there is no independence, there is no rule of law. You don't understand, and so
so in nutshell,
defining everything. The state capture. You don't capture the state without this kind of salary. Now, one of the methods to which the state they capture.
In nutshell, Chernor, what you're telling us here, and Comrade and Ibrahim, this whole thing as a result of like the salary disparity and using it as a political tool, they're responsible for a broken institution, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Of course.
You know.
Of course. Now the heart of the matter is the real thread to the problem. There are other aspects to the problem.
Absolutely.
But now one of the ways we'll get at this is why you see anytime we raise the salary question, it will become uncomfortable.
Right.
This is why you see we don't extend the salary discussion beyond the political class to the ordinary mass of Sierra Leonean people. Because we talk about Soja Man, you talk about, because this is the thing. People talk about shoulders as if in a far different human beings where they belong.
No.
These are regular citizens.
Yeah.
You don't understand. These are the ordinary regular people where they find somebody who is loyal to a country and patriotic to a country. You look at the shoulder, you don't see her.
Right.
You look at somebody where they work as a nurse like a country, you don't see a human being that is committed to a country and people.
Yeah.
The teacher likewise. So these are the critical sectors of the population. Then make we decide to use them as example for highlight the extent of the problem that we're dealing with.
You know,
and contrast and the reason why we point by the salary of politicians, I will talk say the politicians know the importance and the significance of good pay
Salaries,
and good living conditions.
Yeah.
That make it easy. Look at the proposal for Parliament now. Look at the proposal, look at the money when they pay themselves. So if you can pay yourself well, which means you understand the importance of salary and the importance of good pay, comfort. No human being not the way they're against comfort. Why can't you extend the comfort to the greater majority of the public sector workers who are committed, who are actually doing the work?
You know, Ibrahim, I'm not saying you want Kami, but very quickly, you know, so we did a audio like a few weeks ago where we talk about the salary. How a country go exist, you know, wherein like somebody require bare minimum just for it about 2.5 million. But firstly, the minimum wage in the country is 600,000, and then teachers are getting paid 1.5 million. How that's the happen for me? You know, I do not understand. And then what's they gonna tell you? They say the wage bill. Even can the young Keller they talk about the wage bill? How can you pay somebody that a country way below the living wage, and you feel say that is right, and you the grumble say the wage bill? It's because these guys do not understand the basic principle of economics. Sorry, Ibrahim, go on.
But that's a good point. I don't know if Chernor Bah want coming into that, because when you look at that, this goes back to everything he has said, which he don't break down. So as far as the salary disparity across the board, wherein guys they are only a selected few. Chernor Bah, I saw a documentary from DW, Deutsche Welle, where they're going to Koidu, Connaught Town. I don't know if you don't see them yet. Then talk about like 2020 alone, where the government made $313 million from just with mineral resources. But then we get picking them the sick in that country, the channel. We don't get them bone, they rotting, they show it, come out, they out on the foot, they point out. You see woman them, they forbidden, they rotting, breast cancer. You don't forget them care because of all these things that you're pointing out. But China, who is that politician though? Is it Samura Kamara? Talk to me on that. Who is that politician that's going to come and change everything around? Because now you get Samura Kamara, there are a lot of people around him. If he come, is it going to be a different? Yes, it's going to be a peace of mind. But is it going to get down to the heart of the problems of the people? Like what we talk about. So who is that politician that you've seen in Sierra Leone? Chernor Bah, talk to me, brah.
Well, the fact of the matter that the question is, I think one way to get at that question is, are we okay with a situation in Sierra Leone right now where we have a president and the wife of the president can grab and go now as the central bank, take $1 million, put on charter a plane and fly to Lebanon? Where then you have a situation where the president comes back and the auditors, national auditors, decide to conduct an audit regarding the use of public money. What do we get? The auditors are fired,
right? And
everybody remains silent. Do we want a situation where even somebody who is certified as an insane human being, a homeless, mad person, is supposedly arrested for supposedly insulting the president, and not only arrested but charged to court and put on trial in front of a judge or a magistrate? You don't understand. And you have lawyers coming forward to defend somebody who is supposed to be a crazy person in the country, that kind of country there. So the question is, do you appreciate the kind of government that we have? Do you want a government that is dictatorial, despotic, where they hold people and jail them, for talk, therefore arrest you? The government that arrests even mad people, homeless mad people, and put them in jail, detain them, and also put them on trial. Yeah?
No.
So anything. So the question is, that is the thing. Do you prefer this kind of situation?
Oh no.
Honestly, for me as an individual, taking evidence, because Sierra Leone is my country, not the only citizenship who I hold. Okay, as a citizen of Sierra Leone, as it is right now, I know say we country they are at the crossroad. They are at a very difficult moment. It's not just the pervasive nature of the corruption that we are reporting, where the president has transformed the central bank and the national treasury into his personal purse, where the president and his wife will just wake up in the morning, send Musa Jadua and Mohamed Bayo to go to the bank and collect money from central bank, as they will do as somebody's going to Gunawatawel for take water.
Right.
Even what I said, like lock and say, wait for us.
Yes.
The attack come up.
But
you understand? But we have, if you look at the transactions we've published,
right,
you see like a competition between government employees going to the Bank of Sierra Leone, the central bank, for take cash.
Oh, yes.
Loaded in bags. You see like a movie. Is that the kind of environment that we want?
No way. No way.
So that is the question. So for me, the question now is not, I believe that democracy and development is something that can be negotiated. Okay? It's going to be a process in making. But what we have now is an environment that prevents conversation.
Right.
An environment where people cannot even discuss ideas about what it takes to build a country. So the struggle right now as alone is not about Samura Kamara versus even Madabio. It's a question of Madabio against the rest of the people of Sierra Leone.
But the Chernor Bah, to that point where you make
but I believe say the already conversation that you guys have set in motion here, including what we have done collectively as citizens of Sierra Leone and people who are friends of Sierra Leone looking at the country and trying for help shape a conversation. No government will come after this one that's going to behave in this kind of fashion.
Do you think so?
Unprecedented in my
do you think so?
At the bank records of Sierra Leone for the last 30 years comparatively. Okay. When I look at the looting that this regime has done, and I keep saying that we haven't even published up to 25% of the evidence in front of us.
Wow.
So for me, that is what concerns me. How do we get the country out of the control of a monstrous, thieving government, of a repressive regime? That is the danger. Because when governments become accustomed to stealing in this kind of fashion, the next thing you're thinking about is how to steal elections.
Oh, yes.
The next thing you think about is how to change the constitution.
Right.
How to make sure you do not leave office. That is the danger.
That is the danger.
So what we are talking about supersedes Samura Kamara. You don't understand? It is beyond that. We are dealing with the future of the country, the soul of the country. We have to fight for the life of what we call Sierra Leone right now.
But Chernor,
that is the extent. So I do not expect out of this difficulty we will have a government that will take the people of Sierra Leone for granted anymore. So whether that government is going to be led by Samura Kamara or whosoever is upon the people of Sierra Leone to decide. But there's no alternative really in the country now other than the opposition that's under siege, because that explains the difficulty in the country.
Right.
You don't understand. In fact, I believe this is what opposition leaders, whether they are sincere or not, we are trying to come to terms with the fact that they don't come up with a Gold Cup or a coalition of progressive parties. This is about saying we therefore move away from we individual aspirations, even if we have them, and think about the country as a collective unit that we all feel obligated, as citizens for redeem for now. And whether we like it or not, when you look at the country now, the obvious opposition in the country, unfortunately, or whether some of us like it or not, because why I say unfortunately, because we get history of opposing APC for the last 10 years or even before then.
Right.
So, but when we look at the country, what is the alternative?
Right, at this point.
That is standing there. So, you no need for even ask me, when you ask the greater majority of Sierra Leonean people, including people in the government, the only opposition they see, really, to Madabio that they think can replace Madabio is the APC. The only politician who they think carries much more support in the APC that they have seen publicly is the one they have in court.
Right.
So, but the question for me, I think, goes beyond that. It goes to the question of how do we restore the civilization that will allow conversation for the kind of country that we want. We don't have that environment.
So, Chernor, that's why
here, whether regardless of which candidate is forward from the opposition, I think what defines this is Sierra Leoneans understanding that the country comes first. You know, say America, when they were confronted with Trump, you know that since you're there.
Right. The January 6th, matter of fact.
They would not have voted. They would not have voted. Because anything is better than what they had.
Absolutely.
So I think that is how this conversation.
Chernor, I preface that question for come back with you with this one. You look across West Africa, Senegal, Mali, these are countries where the people them and the opposition stand up to the presidents them that are in country. The Teto Guinea na ya where Mamadi Doumbouya can take over. So, but the reason why I asked this question, Chernor, what is going to stop that next president? If Marabio gets away with this kind of a thing here, with no political upheaval, no political standoff, nobody no check this man, no member of parliament, the leaders of the opposition, the Chernor Bah and all of these people, able for pull the people of Sierra Leone say this nonsense here, we not for tolerate them. Let it go down the books of history to say we did not tolerate this. What's the guarantee what we get, my brother? Say there will be another president who will come, who will do the same thing.
Well, I think the difference here is active citizens.
Okay.
The politicians now, I think they don't wake up to the fact that they deal with a new generation of citizens. This new generation is largely a group of young people with new technology and technological tools where they use. And then in conversation with people all around the world. So leaders then get for catch up now. Then get for run after people there. That is what we're beginning to see, because the conversation don't go way above them now. So they have to find ways to catch up. So what I try for saying that they will have no choices. People will not arrive at a point where politicians, especially in West Africa and more so in Sierra Leone, the lines have been so clearly drawn that it's easy for see who's help us in the equation. So the risk now, whether somebody get for risk in your own political future, or by refusing to stand with the people, or deciding say regardless of the current situation, I got to stand with the people. So and people are not the first people ever do that. The conversation from social media, citizens taking on social media and new media technology, including this conversation we will now organize. So, now part of the iPhone. It would have been impossible to do this in the past. So that this they make now it difficult for many politicians and carry on that practice of selling them people innocently and pretending they still stand for them. So this is why conversations like what is the role of parliament? What in parliamentarians follow, because it deals not a critique of parliament per se, but the expectation of the constituent members of the people that these parliamentarians represent, and they ask them to respond to their own desire and their own aspiration. This is not like, but it's unfortunate when parliamentarians or politicians see this as criticism against them, because now feedback. The people in the final analysis, you are a politician because you are representing people.
Right.
So when people raise them questions, they are basically calling you to attention regarding how you should represent them.
Right.
Not to how you want them for how you want for represent them, how they want you for represent them. So if that is impossible, it's the responsibility of the politician to come and explain to the people and arrive at a consensus. So that is difficulty. The politicians have reacted to public demands regarding the kind of representation, their need for quality representation, the kind of representation as an attack on parliament, an attack on parliamentarians, or an attack on specific politicians. For example, this kind of conversation we would get, which is really the kind of conversation that politicians will appreciate. Some of them will even think you are attacking them in favor of one politician or the other, when in actual fact, this is what they should appreciate, because it helps politicians to understand the thinking of the public. That they aspire to represent. Because if you're not able to understand the people that we want to represent, then you risk losing these people. And that are the danger now. Because they are unable to they're not able to bring themselves to the reality, say the situation don't change in the country. The situation don't change drastically in this last 4 years, because now you get more active people who are aspiring to represent for more quality representation, and they want defined.
Absolutely. You know,
so that is that.
Right. And so, Chernor, let me round up this one. Talk to Salon people now, because the same people then what would they talk for, would they defend?
Ibrahim,
are the same
Ibrahim,
people.
Just before we round up on this, sorry, like just on that, Chernor make one critical point, just where he talk about new generation. And Yusuf come back and ask him the question, because I think, like what Chernor say, we are at a crossroad. For making it become a new generation, it would only be a new generation if Madabio were to kick out. If not, I fear, Ibrahim, it is just the same old story. And that is, I believe, is the biggest risk we are facing as a country. Because once we condone this, it means we condone thievery, we condone for make them manhandle we. So it can only be a new generation if the people they decide for make it be new generation, if the institutions decide for make it be new generation, and even the opposition have like the three layers of opposition that we don't give decision. The two, which is like is dangerous for the country. I believe if we can only have a new generation if this government were to kick out. If or else, Ibrahim, I think it's the same story, and in a reverse way back, because the team don't become status quo, it don't become normal with all the things with them where the Africanistpress don't point out. If we do not, if we allow this government to go back another 5 years, Ibrahim, we've accepted everything we're wrong in our society.
I see Chernor one coming on that one. Comrade, hang on.
Yeah,
Chernor one coming.
I just want to say that following up on Cashbox, what you just said, now the fact that there is no way under the current situation, more underline this, there is no way this government can get a second term without rigging the election. That are the difficulty they face.
Thank you. Yeah.
And the good thing here is that the greater majority of people are not settled with what they have. They've suffered too much in this. They've suffered the last 50 years, but they've suffered too much in these 4 years. This 4 years has been really hell for the people of Sierra Leone. So it's not a question of people's willingness and determination for make sure they restore democracy or make democracy answer to the problems by voting according to how they want to vote, but it's about making sure that the people are given the choices that they want, which is why it's very important for us, for every Sierra Leonean, to ensure that we get a free and fair election. And that free and fair election include the registration of everybody who is eligible to vote. The second thing include the ensuring that every politician who wants to participate is given the free opportunity to participate in the election, whether as a contender, competitor, or a supporter of anyone. You don't understand?
Right.
So this idea that the court system, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the police, or any other method can be used to eliminate competitors, people away Mother Bio and group they afraid for compete with, and then choose for himself somebody we will compete with. That idea is what has to be exposed.
I don't want to cut you off. But the problem is
the international world need to know. This is what.
But with the institutions allow the people to have free and fair election, that is the danger. Like the parliament, when they see the census, it's being condoned.
Once we can make that work, because that is the process. The people, once people, nothing can defeat the power and will and determination of the public. And this is why this is a critical role where we need to play, where perhaps we are not able, or we need for internalize for ourselves. We need for understand. So you guys are playing a significant role, and that significant role has been we don't educate the people and provide them with information that these politicians have been trying very hard for making them not able to understand. And that in itself is a major thing. We don't underestimate what we don't do. We don't underestimate, say, you people have educated the greater majority of Sierra Leonean people, the people who matter in the country, the ordinary people who matter in the country. And these individuals who are holding on to these rogue methods of crooking the people all the time, they're a handful of people. And what has made that possible is the lack of information to the general public, and that information has now been provided by some of and this kind platforms who they use. We don't underestimate that. So I am saying to push this work forward, we are going to focus on making sure the people of Sierra Leone get the people who they want to vote for on the ballot. Okay. It starts with citizens pushing to make sure their own candidates are not disqualified because somebody wants to disqualify them. Okay, that is one. Secondly, when I go for make sure that the people understand the election is not just about going into a polling station and putting your vote in a ballot box, but you have to make sure that that vote is counted, recorded, and protected. If this thing happens, then telling friends of Sierra Leone that they have to make sure they help the people of Sierra Leone to have a peaceful environment where their votes can be recorded, counted, and displayed. Okay, once we get a clean electoral environment, people get the right, people are able to choose the candidates they want to vote for, and they are not, those candidates are not deleted from the electoral process, then I will guarantee you this election will produce for the people of Sierra Leone the leader that they want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, comrade, you got any question for Chernor Bah?
No, well, the only thing no way, the one try for supporting Chernor Bah, they see the people them politicians, they know what take for granted anymore, because this narrative of type of voting they happen as alone say 10, 15 years ago, you know, they happen. The level of awareness, like we just want to extend to hands to and say, please, at least you don't do this the audio. Would expect them, I expect you at any time from now for do the live we are in. We will expand them more when I go see them back live. But this one for the greater majority of Sierra Leone them. My last question for Chernor Bah, it will go with this forgery of the president. We see now first expose and when the president like say go na Japan and go lock the mouth panel. The first president for say they lock the mouth panel. They will see we because of you pull the secret and all the audit report pull them with me. Now they tell say the Parliament of Sierra Leone they aid and abet every battery that including the corruption, all the thievery and the aid and abet them.
Right.
We up till date if now any serious country they're gonna make impeachment.
Absolutely.
Impeachment at the beginning of a process. They're not saying the pull president, but for let them show they say what you do you wrong like enter the UK, then you have vote of no confidence for Boris Johnson, although you win up. But they do up. They don't want to record them may apply for them. Yep. For the records. So my final question for Chernor Bah, how you read this particular parliament? Who talk about the opposition where they do the opposition? How you read this parliament in other parliament then?
No, comrade, I want to stick to the section 51 of the Constitution, we give members of parliament the right for actually impeach the president for misappropriation and misconduct. Where now in the president do so forging. I think I want to stick to that particular point, the channel. Let's stick to that point. Let Chernor answer that way.
Yeah, I think say we don't sufficiently express with disappointment or with the, regarding the failure of parliamentarians. In the first place, if parliamentarians don't write a letter to the Minister of Foreign, the Minister of Finance and the bank governor asking for clarification regarding the illegal allocation of public money to the wife of the president, and they never followed it up, you really do not expect anything more. So I think the constituency that we need to speak to now, or the people that we need to care about, is the ordinary people of Sierra Leone who you guys have really educated. That we focus on now. How do we get a peaceful electoral environment? How will you get international monitoring of the national and international monitoring of the elections? That one day will begin teach politicians and the lessons that they will learn, and that will help us to begin to carve out the kind of country that we want. Because when somebody can have power, he knows the way he abuse the constitution, and loot the central bank, and trample upon the voices of citizens and marginalized citizens, and lock somebody because somebody just praised a former president for building a stadium, or arrest Chris Mann because the Chris Mann they say he cost the president, or arrest anybody because the thing say you support the agenda of the president, or you send bad text message to somebody, then you know say the consequences will be that the ballot box is going to, you're going to pay for it during the ballot. During the ballot, so you will be very careful with citizens. You will begin to respect the citizens. You will not say when they give you power, it is a temporal thing. It's a temporal situation. A rent that rents you power.
Right.
That the people who rented you that power can take it away from you at any time.
Absolutely.
So once that idea, that thinking, get into the minds of politicians and public officials, the sense of impunity, this grand sense of impunity that once you're in a power, whether in a parliament now, in a cabinet now, or any side, you can do anything you want.
Right.
You can go take land now, people in hand now, John Obi or any other place, then you will not say consequences there for that.
Right.
Tomorrow, then go vote you out. You go begin careful. So that is the lesson that this upcoming election is going to teach, which is what we have to focus on.
Right.
And all of the things are disappointment. The more you talk about this, it's just a disappointment. You don't have to. We will not spend time more now, because all the time now we have to move into voter education.
Absolutely.
Get the people to understand, say, registration is coming up in September. Everybody must register in their own area of residence.
Oh,
They
yes.
know they will be able to vote.
Right.
And then begin put pressure on them political parties, those who support political parties, that they have to be given the candidates of their own choice on the ballot.
Oh, yes.
Okay, whether from the local level to the national level.
Yes.
People's voices. And that day, I think, say, for the work, people who are engaged in civic education, civic engagement now,
Right.
begin focus on.
Absolutely.
Educating people about how to, the electoral questions. I think so that. But forget about Parliament now. We hope that the next Parliament will be better, that they will be able to listen to the voices and able to represent with aspirations and desires. But I actually, I'm not surprised. These are my practice. We're not to go on. Now we're able to talk about them because we get the avenues and the platforms to talk about them.
Right.
In the past, it was impossible. It was happening in the dark.
Absolutely. It's the awareness. That's the beautiful thing. Thank you, Chernor. Chernor, I had one more question, and this I was just going to take it to Singapore. Singapore back in 1963, 64, 65, and this is Comrade Koita's favorite point. Delicate today, Singapore had a set of leaders then where we get a mindset for transform that country. That is what we need in Sierra Leone. The next time we conversate, we're going to start a conversation from that point. I want you to take note of that. We'll talk about the Singapore experiment and relate that to Sierra Leone. Delicate today, Singapore is a first world country. Where are we today in Sierra Leone, right? But it takes leadership. And the reason why I say you got to think about this the next time we get this conversation is because, Chernor, you know, go the optic the latif all the time. We all with this all. I think say we are mark we self, we watch we self. If anything, we have evidences to bear everything that we've said. We know say in the past, politicians they don't talk. This same President Bio, you got a test. Again, that debate. The people want change. A bag of rice is 200,000. You know, all kind of nonsense, right? They go say Brian Bonasona, all the talk, when give an opportunity. Chernor self when they make so just today. So think about that. The next time we conversate, we're gonna start from that point. That's where I want to end this audio. I don't know if you are Rob this small, but we can end this audio now at this point in time.
No, I just want to thank Una for the work Una they do and salute Una for that, and also encourage all of us to not give up. It's a difficult road. You know, you lose friends, you lose. It's not just. I sum up my work a few days ago to somebody. I say we are just like DJs in a club. Sometimes you play music, everybody go dance.
Right.
Sometimes you play the other song, a set of people go dance, another set no go dance. Sometimes you play nobody no go dance, but your role as the DJ is to make sure there is music on the dance floor, regardless whether someone is dancing or not. So once you understand that, don't be worried about who is happy and who is unhappy. Just stick to the truth, and that the truth, nothing just therefore get the final say. So let us commit ourselves to that truth that will help our country, and keep with it. Even if we get to a point that only now we no more clean up on one road, the crowd and the public will be a witness one day. So that number I just want to add in conclusion.
Thank you, Auditor General to be. Thank you, because you've actually played that role. We appreciate you, Chernor. You know, this is beautiful. Thank you so much. We know so we schedules and can be very difficult, but we go connect again at some point and we'll get this conversation one more. But of course, we'll forget, live again and do some, anytime no more you ready, we will come now, allow educated people, and because like you say now, we all get this fet. It is a collaborative effort. That conglomeration there is powerful. And like today, I think the people of Sierra Leone appreciate everything you do and you've done for them. And in as much as a lot of people don't understand, but they don't begin to understand the implications, because when you look at what you do, Chernor, when you pull out them thing about corruption, people not able to grasp and understand yet, the enormosity of what you're doing. But with time, they go see them. But Salon will be a better country. Our vision is to see a Sierra Leone that is going to be a first world country. It will happen because we have the potential, we have the human capital, we have the human resource, we have the resources to make it possible. So thank you, my brother. Cashbox, you want to tell Chernor bye-bye for we, and then Komrikuta go send them off.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like, I see the man, the lavish, praise at you guys and to Mr. Dinner the corner will catch me there. But like we've admired this gentleman, a fine gentleman. I think this is why I always say this generation, we should not let this opportunity pass way by. I think this is the greatest opportunity we get as a country for transform that country. With like the resurgence of the likes of Chernor and Comrade, yourself, Ibrahim, and so many other people.
People's power.
I think the awareness is there. The biggest asset we Salone need right now is the awareness. And this is the reason why some people, like what's the story where you just know about a DJ, some people will dance to the music, some people wouldn't. But wait till we get for do, continue playing the music.
Absolutely.
And kind of like watch the people and kind of like try forgive them within the.
Absolutely. Like how Chernor say, I'm a classic example of that. They go after the APC. The same things I went after the APC for is the same things I'm going after the SLPP for. The SLPP supporters, they already clap for me. They share me videos and audios are the same ones coming after me now because I'm going after them. So again, it is a cycle. Civic education is key. It's important. Come, Conteh, tell Chernor Bah bye for we don't go now.
Thank you so much. One thing is opportunity for we tell the brother say it's a plan possible motivate you because when they fight to see somebody come with heavy weapon it motivate you now. And this fight as you say, we take almost salute, almost return the same salute to them. I want to let you know see all the fight this fight here. But we man the fire bazooka, you the fire AK, we have two different firing.
Wait till you talk.
Clear.
Wait till you talk.
In Nanga the bazooka.
You the bazooka.
No. Just for clear the enemy then I don't escape it and I don't clear.
Comrade.
So we salute them.
Now when we get bazooka, Chernor Nanka with the B-52 stealth bomber. Hey, what did you talk? The stealth bomber.
Last nigga.
So when I do the small one they will do because life you get for other people for their efforts.
Yes.
We all do very well, but trust me, as if I'm open them, you see, I would SLP them. If there was no Chernor Bah in the Africanistpress, trust me, the fight is going to be difficult for us. We will not get better justification. We will be talk, but help we for make it very easy. Not just for talk, they pull transaction numbers and make parliament in opinion. That statement to me is an insult to all of us. For see somebody, they do extra miles to talk, not to say that they pay them, they go, they pull them. People names and transaction numbers and they say their opinion. Then they take now fake degree talk, they want to make a topic and make the ever gather. Then they will know the even get attention. One thing I say, let no say there are a lot of scenarios that say you don't motivate them. If you see today when I no land, they say, "But I make Chernor Bah can't talk on a program." Why area? Now because of the good work we do. Even if I no go school, don't know say Fatima be thief. Man, be make no say na lie in Japan. So self salute you, bro. Now you get the heavy machine gun. We'll just be there for clarity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Me go to wash the grass. They won't don't pass.
All right, problem. We left this conversation there. When I go register September 3rd to October 4th, registration they open. Like how Chernor Bah say, when I register, when I vote like when our life depends on it. Everybody get for make a sacrifice. When I vote like when our life depends on it to get rid of these idiots who get na power they like today. Bye bye everybody.